Okay, how's everybody doing today? Um, I just want to show you a little project I'm starting here because I can't have enough projects. One of my projects is collecting projects, I think. But with all the cycling and stuff, it stimulated my this old desire I had to make things lighter. I'm somewhat of a weight weenie, you could say. So back in the 90s, I used to know the gram weights of all the screws and bolts and how, one crankset was 50 grams lighter than another and a certain pedal was lighter than another, just to try to get the weight of the bike down for climbing hills better. And I discovered that in the UK, they have this hill climbing competition. It's just bunch of people that on road bikes that try to climb up a hill, and it's a time trial, and they just take the fastest time wins. But the bikes these guys build are super light, and I've already got one that's kind of halfway there because I built this a long time ago. I've had this bike for over 10 years. This is basically like Tour de France spec from, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s. Before they all went to carbon. So this was technically a pro frame back then, in aluminum, but it's particularly light one. So here is what I'm doing. I picked parts back then a lot to do for the weight, and some of it because that's what Lance Armstrong rode. But this is what I got. This is what I'm starting with. This is a Specialized S-Works, as you've seen in other videos. The LA, I think it's called. It's a particularly light frame. It's anodized. It's not painted. So that saves like 100 grams right there because there's no paint on it. I've contacted a couple anodizers because my lettering is all wearing off from my sweat. I just sweat like crazy when I ride, and it's kind of looking grungy. I took some acetone to this with a little pad to try to get the rest of it off, so at least it would look like a clean tube, and it wasn't coming off. So I don't know if you know how to get that off other than nail polish remover, basically. Let me know. But there's all kinds of little areas where we can shed some weight here, some grams. It's always a hunt for grams. This is a Data Newton 100 millimeter stem, particularly light one from back then, but there are lighter ones now. It has titanium bolts already from the factory, so it's kind of tuned already. I know it's a pretty solid stem, but I'm going lighter. I've got a Data Newton 7075 drop bar to match. This was what Lance Armstrong used to use to climb the mountains. That's why I have it. Same thing with the Dura-ace 7800 levers. Those were the lightest ones at the time. This is a rim brake. This is a rim brake setup. And rim brakes are lighter than the disc brakes. So I'm like, well, perfect time to do a weight weenie project because all the new bikes are heavier with discs. So you either have to go, it's up to a pound more. That's a lot when we're talking weight weenies. So I already got the Dura-ace calipers. These aren't the lightest. These aren't like AX Lightness or there's a few brands that made some really featherweight brakes back then. But I wanted a brake to look good. It matches the other components, and I was planning on, when I got these, tuning them at some time, which is basically just replacing all the hardware on them with titanium, and then getting the lightest brake pads you can get, and you can shed grams out of them. I don't know if you can shave like 20 grams or something, but I haven't seen those titanium kits. They used to sell them as a kit. I haven't seen them for a while, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that. If you know where to find them, let me know. This is the Dura-ace 7800. For the wheels here, I needed a good set of training wheels, so I never went as light as I possibly could on wheels because that's the part that I put the most stress on, I think. I was over 200 pounds. Now I'm 198-ish. because I'm down about 27 pounds from riding. But so I needed a wheel that could carry what I call a Clydesdale weight, being close to 200. A cyclist, a pro cyclist is a lot lighter. You're more in the 160-pound range. So I wanted a pretty durable wheel, so I got the Crycerium Elites. They're still pretty light. I think they're about, they rate them at 1,550 grams, but people have weighed them with the skewers in, and I think they got closer to 1,700. So we're going to shave some weight out of those. For tires, I'm using the Vittoria Rubino Pros, 25 up front and 28 in the back. I got the 28 for comfort. I did a video on that years ago. And I think it's the absolute max size I could squeeze into the frame. I may end up swapping the front for a 28 too, but I used to ride 20 in the back and an 18 on the front briefly because the 18 just kept pinch flatting all over the place. So, but I was always going for low weight and low rolling resistance, turns out the thicker tires are actually better on rolling resistance. They're just a bit heavier. So I may do a 28 on the front too. That would be more modern. I think it'll fit in the frame too. Yeah, I think it'll fit in there. Usually the back's the tough one. But these have, I believe, regular tubes in them at the moment. And reasonably long stems. I think the bike shops just buy the longer stem because it'll work in a shallow rim, but it'll work in a deeper rim as well. But that's a couple grams right there that can be shaved. I've got the Dura-ace crankset. I got to degrease all this stuff too, by the way. I really want to go through and clean it, get that chain shiny like new. Dunk the derailleurs in a parts washer and get them all clean. Same with the bottom bracket grunge there. Speaking of bottom brackets, the new Dura-ace bottom bracket is 30 some grams lighter. And I see it on Amazon for under 40 bucks. So there's another ounce right there. And it'll get up to the new bearing and friction seal specs. So maybe I'll get a couple watts out of that. I don't know. These pedals have seen some miles. These are the Look R 5.1s. It's a cast alloy body with adjustable rotation on the back. So that mechanism is definitely some weight. I mean, you can see the pedal flop like that. I took it off to weigh it, and I weighed the new pedals. So I've had these pedals for years and years. I just never put them on. I weighed these. These are 84 grams and change, 84 and a half, I think, lighter per pedal. That's a ton of weight savings. So that's gonna be fun. I got some titanium bolts for the stem. I got a new stem here. This is a Calloy Uno. So instead of I'm gonna weigh all these parts as I do this, but I think this is like 135 grams or so. This one here is right around 100 grams, and then that's before I put the titanium bolts in. So that's going to take some weight off. Those are cheap too. Those are like 28 bucks on eBay. So this whole shedding weight from the condition it's already in is actually going to be cost-effective upgrades. I've been watching this guy, Rides of Japan. I think that's what he calls his channel. Very entertaining, but he's all about hunting for the grams, and he just got me all excited about doing it again. Up here, I've got the Specialized, I think is the Pave carbon seat post, and it's got this elastomer insert. And I do like that for comfort because it gives you some suspension in the back, and I got a back problem, as I've said. But I have a new post coming that's going to be lighter than this. Also this seat, I got this seat for comfort. The Cell San Marco rolls. seat. This is kind of a classic seat from back in the day, like what the old Tour de France guys used to ride in the 80s and 90s. And just had it flipped upside down. But it's heavy. So that's a tank by today's standards. So I have a seat coming, and the seat that I have coming is actually kind of a joke, but you'll see what I mean. But it's going to shed weight like crazy, and it is a seat. You can ride it. It just won't be comfortable. Got to wear padded shorts. But the goal here is weight at this point. It doesn't. I don't ride this bike enough to care. If I do want to take it out for a ride, I'll just swap out the seat for this seat post. Unless I find the other one comfortable, but it's hard to see how it will be. I got a different little carbon cage here. These carbon cages are funny. There is one on there now, and I find it here. I got this one too. Some of these are funny. This was the lightest one you could find, and it was like $80 or some crazy thing. But every time I hit a bump, a bottle just ejects out into the road with this. So not using that one. Yeah, other things that shed weight are like this. This is the stem plug that goes in the steer tube with a carbon top plate. This sheds weight. People don't think about what the thing weighs inside the stem. We're going to find out what that is. I'm going to tally all these gram weights because I'm weighing each individual part as I pull it out and put the new one in. So we're going to get a total of everything. I've also never liked how I have all these stem spacers here just kind of stacked up. I wanted some height, some stack height, because of my back. I don't want to be way over like that. But it just doesn't look clean with all these different spacers. So especially the gloss versus the matte here. So I ordered a nice matte spacer that'll be the exact height that I need. The new stem has a higher stack height just by itself. So there's just going to be one spacer in there. I think that'll clean it up and possibly shed a gram or two. So anyway, there's more parts coming. That's that. I'm going to stop rambling and let me know if you have any ideas on what you would shed. I do have titanium bolts for the bottle cage. The back cage that I'm not using, I'm thinking of just putting a plastic plug in there because it's the absolute lightest thing. Why just have screws for no reason? But I do want to keep any water out. But yeah, if you have any ideas here on how I could shed the grams, let me know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.